Hello, hello. It is Tuesday, July 22nd. Hopefully, everyone's having a fantastic day. Man, the rumors are flying, guys. The rumors are flying about Jerome Powell, but are they true? We're going to break down the details there. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about this over the last few months. The first time I saw the news break 30 minutes ago, I was like, I don't know if I believe it. Oh man. Oh, guess what, dude? You stole my thunder. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. Actually, it's the first thing I was gonna pull up, man. Very sad. Ozzy passed away today. Pretty wild. So uh he actually just weeks ago had a farewell concert for his fans, and his family did come out and say that he died surrounded by love. So sad, seriously, a freaking legend. But sad day, sad day. Guys, we've got a lot going on with the crypto space. I don't know if you guys are looking at Bitcoin right now, but wow, it is running back up. We saw some drops yesterday, but it is just being eaten up, man. I was wondering, it's like, man, maybe we'll go down and test some lower prices, but it does not look like that is going to happen, at least today. We'll see. We'll see. He said, "Sad, but surprised he made it that long." I agree, man. I agree. He had a heck of a life, didn't he? Wow. What's up, JK? What's up, man? All right, let's break into some AI news to start the show off here. Netflix just came out today. They're using generative AI in a TV show for the first time. This is called the Eternaut, I guess is what it is. Someone said, open source approach to ROVR. How's that going to affect bringing token burn? That's a good question. I'm going to talk about that today, though. Okay, so using generative AI, and this is kind of wild. So the Netflix co-CEO said that's an incredible opportunity to make films and series better, not just cheaper. Obviously, there on the other end is widespread concern about the threat posed by AI to people's jobs in the film industry. So this is going to be interesting to watch for sure. I'm sure there'll be a lot of eyes on the show just because they used generative AI. It said that the creators wanted to include a scene where a building collapses in Buenos Aires, but they said that the AI meant they were able to achieve an amazing result with a remarkable speed. In fact, it was completed 10 times faster than it would have been with traditional VFX tools and workflows. Went on to say that AI could prove especially useful for bringing scenes to life that otherwise wouldn't be possible because of budget constraints. And that they've also been trialing other AI tools. One that would allow viewers to use voice commands, such as, I want to watch a film from the 80s. That's a dark psychological thriller. And it says that if we do a better job there, it means that every dollar we spend brings more value back to our members by connecting them with the titles they're truly going to love. Of course, there are reports that it could significantly disrupt the film industry in the jobs there, 204,000 jobs. And it says between now and 2027, especially entry-level roles. So, guys, I think there's gonna be movie stars that are literally AI generated that we'll see in multiple movies. And very, very interesting times ahead for sure. For sure. The AI race, by the way, we've been talking about Meta a lot. There are some reports emerging right now that they've offered as much as $1.25 billion over 4 years to someone. There's speculation as to who it is. There are some reports that are saying that it could be Mark Chen, who is OpenAI's chief research officer. Just going to say that they did turn down that offer. So, wow. The arms race for AI is certainly on. If you look at Polymarket right now, there are some betting. We talked about this before. There's if you go down, we looked at the way that they judge this. But anyway, they're looking for which company has the best AI model. They have it at the end of July. And it's worth noting Meta down there is like less than 1%. Even in August, you see that Meta is down there less than 1%. But when you look to the end of the year, Meta has been climbing. And I think people are definitely paying attention to the money they're spending, the data centers they're building out. And it's very clear that Meta is trying to be a big player in the AI race. And they do look to be gaining ground. They're certainly investing the capital. There's no doubt about that. Oh, and some other news with the housing market. This just came out today. Trump says he's considering a new tax break for when people sell their homes for capital gains on home sales. So Trump said this broke today. He said he was quoted as saying, "We are thinking about no tax on capital gains on houses." He did go on to throw shade at Jerome Powell, like he tends to do, saying that if the Fed would lower rates, we wouldn't have to do it. So it does say that he can't do it on his own. It would have to it would require additional legislation. So we'll see what happens there. But that would certainly open up the housing market, I would bet, which I think we need to see. That said, there are some trends. I mean, there's a lot of cities where housing prices are starting to come down. I think there's a lot of people that are still clinging on to the sense that they can get what they could 2 years ago for their home, and they're finding that that might not be the case. So I think there's a gap between what sellers are willing to take and what buyers are willing to pay. I think things will adjust for sure. Someone said, I think it's Hertz using AI to tell if you messed up a rental car. Huh. Very interesting. I'll have to look into that. All right, let's talk about the big news. Everyone's sending this letter around all over X saying, oh, Jerome Powell resigned. As it turns out, that's not true. Guys, come on. These reports going around are so ridiculous. We're gonna kind of break down the timeline a little bit here, though. I think it's worth doing so. As we talked about yesterday, Trump sent out that tweet over the weekend, like, I don't need anyone to tell me whether or not I should fire Powell, and even if it's Besson. So Besson was like, well, we need to investigate the Fed now. I think in reaction to that, now he came out today and said there's no reason for Powell to step down from the Fed. He says that he's offering support for Jerome Powell. It says amid regular attacks from the Trump administration officials. Yes, there's no doubt about that. I think Jerome Powell still is getting regular breakfast with Scott Bessent. So I think Scott Bessent's like, listen, man, like chill. I know Trump's being crazy, but we kind of need you to stay in there. And we do. There's a lot of people, and it's kind of crazy. Like all the posts on X today on the news that Powell's gonna be stepping down, they're all like, oh my God, it's so good for the markets. It's like, well, but is it? Is it really good for the markets? Because the bond market is very telling. And this is just like last week. The bond market says it's on edge as Trump's Powell. It says Trump's Powell. Threats resurface. Oh, Trump's Powell threats. Okay. Resurface. Because Trump kept saying, oh, we're gonna get rid of Powell. Now, the bond market, every time that happens, starts to climb. And you would think, based on some of the bullish posts that we're seeing, people would think that the rates would go down. That's not what we're seeing. Okay, the markets are basically saying like, hey, if Trump gets rid of Powell, we're likely to see inflation go crazy because they're going to just try to jack rates down on the short end, on the Fed rate, and long-term duration treasuries are increasing because people aren't going to want to buy our debt. Okay, and that's the long story. I mean, the short of the long story there is that we need to finance our debt. People are going to lose faith in the dollar if they try to get rid of Powell. And for that reason, I think Bessent knows that. Okay. Like he's well aware of what the markets are saying. And it's for that reason that they are going to want Powell to stay in there. And then there's and here's where most of the reports are coming from, by the way. So Powell is speaking tomorrow morning. It's all this, the federal housing director, this Pulte guy. So Jerome Powell is speaking tomorrow morning. I'm sure there'll be more rumors. People are gonna be like, "Oh my God, Powell's gonna, announce his resignation." It's this guy. This guy is the one that's spreading all these rumors. It's all coming from him. He's like, "Well, it won't be his resignation speech now, but it's coming soon." Okay, well, his term's up in May. If that's what you mean by soon, sure. But I just don't see it happening. They're obviously trying to get him on this renovation. There's like a $3.5 billion renovation I think they talk about it here. Kind of going at Powell on this $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed headquarters, and they're trying to get him on that to get him out, because I think Trump realizes he can't get him out. And it kind of brings me back to this clip that I opened up one of my live streams with maybe like 2 months ago. And so I want to play this quick clip, and I think it really summarizes everything we're seeing right now.
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving.
All right, so Powell's not going anywhere, guys. I mean, like, let's be real. So let's talk about what we have coming up with the Fed, because all the eyes are on rate cuts, right? There are 4 more FOMC. There's 8 per year. There's 4 more FOMC meetings coming up this year. We obviously have the July session. This is next week, okay? Because we're on July 22nd. So next week we have the next FOMC meeting. Followed by that, we have September, October, December. If you guys remember last year, the Fed lowered rates in the September, October, and December session for an entire 1 percentage point cut. Now you're going to see all these posts next week. Guarantee it. Like clockwork, people are going to be like, FOMC meeting tomorrow. Rate cuts are coming. Alt season. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, let's look at the poly market. Okay, let's look at poly market. In the July session, there is virtually next to no chance that there's rate cuts next week. Okay, so if you see those posts, unfollow those people. They're not serious people. Okay, let's look at September. September is over a 50% chance right now. And obviously these things can change, but September is looking more likely than not we'll see a rate cut. And I believe the same is true of October. So over a 50% chance, September, October, very, very small chance, if any, that we see one next week. And this would actually align with exactly what we saw last year. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we end up seeing. Of course, though, we need to keep an eye on this August 1st trade deadline. It's coming up quickly, guys. It's freaking like next week or the week after that. And this is, of course, where the next trade deadline is as we continue to push it out. And this is really what's held Jerome Powell up from lowering rates, is the tariff situation. Okay, so here's what we need to pay attention to. It says that Trump is set to slap tariffs on as high as 50% on dozens of countries next week, including our top trade partners. Canada and Mexico are 2 biggest trade partners, and then followed by China. Japan's in there, EU's in there. We don't have deals with those countries yet. So far, we have with the UK. They were the first to come to the table. Vietnam, Indonesia, and we have preliminary terms with China. Okay, so it's still ongoing. Now, if you look at some of the examples, 50% on Brazil, 35% on Canada. This is what we're facing if they don't change things. But this is where things stand right now on August 1st. 30% on the EU and Mexico, 25% on Japan and South Korea. Goes on to say that Lutnick came out and said it's a hard deadline. And then Bassett came out and wavered a bit. He said, we could offer an extension if nations engage in productive conversation. So we'll see what the president wants to do. I personally am going to trust Bassett over Lutnick, especially given some of what Lutnick has said up to this point.
You're going to see over the next month or so, we're going to roll out dozens of deals. Oh, there are so many coming, and you're going to see deal after deal. It's going to start coming next week and the week after and the week after. We've got lots of them in the hopper. We're going to announce a whole bunch of deals over the next week or so.
Are you confident we can get these the big ones, the big deals done?
I have them done. The next 2 weeks are going to be weeks for the record books.
Yeah. So I trust Bassett's word over Lutnick at this point. I always have, though. Lutnick is, whatever. Dude, he needs to just stop talking. All right, so Let's see what the markets are saying, though, guys. The markets, it's a far cry. What's kind of wild is a lot of these August 1st trade figures are very similar to what we saw when he first announced them back in, what was that, like April, I think, right? And we saw that massive dip. That was right around here. Yeah, into March, April. We saw that massive dip when he threatened those tariffs. The market is just not taking it seriously. We are almost exactly where we were in these negotiations back then, with the percentages that are being threatened. Market is still sitting at like all-time highs. Okay, so obviously the first time the market reacted, now it's like, okay, whatever, dude. Like, we don't believe it. That is also worth noting, though, because if these do go into effect on August 1st, if he doesn't push that out, the market is not baking that in. You see what happens when the market baked in what those tariffs would do, or what the market, when the market actually expected it. If we get a surprise here, that could be really bad for markets. Because again, we're seeing the same thing. If you look at the NASDAQ, okay, NASDAQ, same exact situation. You know, this is the first time. Now they're just like ignoring it completely. So we better hope they extend things out or they get some trade deals done, because if those go into effect, that is going to get ugly real quickly, I would imagine. Looking at the 10-year Treasury, and then we'll move into some crypto news. Treasury rates come down a little bit today. It's hard to tell like what's going on with all the fake reports about Powell stepping down, with the tariff situation. There's so much uncertainty still right now. Like, it's hard to know exactly what is feeding into that, but that's good. I mean, we want the 10-year to come down. You know, for one, that could mean more demand for our debt. People are maybe having a little bit more faith in the dollar again. But it has an impact on all markets, obviously, and the cost of refinancing our debt as well. All right. But Bitcoin just continues to do its own thing, guys. We are just under 120,000. We look at what we've been seeing here now. We've been consolidating this range for a while. There's a lot of people that are thinking that we'll go back down and retest down like 115, 114,000. I don't know, man. These dips have been just getting eaten up. There's a lot of buying pressure here. But Bitcoin continues to do Bitcoin things. And I think most people believe we'll see new all-time highs. I think it's healthy to have a little bit of consolidation here. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do see things start to move higher soon. Not to say we can't see a little bit of correction before that happens, but I think we will. But Ethereum continues to steal the show. Now, Ethereum is down a little bit today, but man, it has been performing, and we're starting to see the institutional accumulation. SharpLink, which is essentially the Microstrategy for Ethereum, announced that they bought another $259 million in Ethereum. So almost 80,000 ETH. What's crazy, though, is that they actually, if you look here, they had actually dropped to the second largest Ethereum holder. They are now back to number one again after that purchase. But guys, there are some big purchases coming through. One of the people that's getting exposure is Cathie Woods. She says the intensifying race for the title of Microstrategy of Ether has been making waves. Cathie Wood invested in BitMine. So $4.4 million. And actually, if we look, there's an article here about this. Actually, a little bit of speculation. So it says that Cathie Wood sold Coinbase stock and Roblox shares to buy BitMine. So Cathie Wood is getting exposure to Ethereum. I would imagine a lot of other big wallets and deep pockets are getting into Ethereum. Now, Ethereum's been on quite a run, guys. You've got, we were at 2174 back on, is that June 22nd? 1 month ago? Holy shit. Okay, so that is a run. And there's a lot of people calling for 4,000. They think once we break through 4,000, who knows? People are calling for 10,000. I don't know, but I think Ethereum is going to keep going higher. I mean, it's where you got to think the stable coins are all launching on Ethereum or on layer 2s on Ethereum right now. So that bill is a huge catalyst. Obviously, Ethereum ETFs have been out for quite a while, but we are finally starting to see the market recognize Ethereum. Western Union talking about stablecoins. Check this out.
So we see stablecoin really as an opportunity, not as a threat.
What's the rollout looking like for Western Union on that front?
Well, we're already innovating in several places in the world on moving money and settling. So both in South America and in Africa, we are innovating our settlement processes to move money quicker and to more easily convert into local currency in partnerships with some of the infrastructure companies you've had on this show. So we are also exploring other partnerships with people who want on-ramps and off-ramps in different parts of the world on how we could enable Western Union's funds in and funds out to enable people to purchase and sell stablecoins. Finally, we're investigating how we might offer stablecoin products in our digital wallets to our customers around the world, again, in partnerships with many of the companies that you've talked to over the course of the last couple of weeks.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. First off, who are they going to be working with? Probably Ethereum, but I mean, could there be some other players? He said some of the entities or the players you've had on, and he said plural. So very interesting stuff there. The other thing is, all this talk about solidifying the US dollar, they're talking about, Western Union moving money around the globe. Okay. So this is absolutely coming to fruition. This is massive. I mean, you think about this, Western Union are archaic as hell, like with, money transfers, wire transfers are moving to stable coins. Pretty wild stuff, guys. We are witnessing history in real time. The rails of our financial systems all over the world are changing, and it's exciting, and it's going to bring a lot of money into the space. All right. And some other news. Jesse Powell has had the charges dropped, the probe from the FBI. What's interesting about this was that it had nothing to do with his activities within the crypto industry. I thought that was kind of weird. So it said that the FBI returned devices to Powell and ended its probe over allegations he had hacked and cyberstalked the Verge Center for the Arts, a nonprofit he helped found in 2008. I don't know about all that. But anyway, it did say that I thought this was kind of an interesting fact. They dropped the probe. It's also worth noting that Powell had donated $1 million in Ethereum to Trump during his campaign. And then it says there was a separate probe that the SEC had against Kraken, but it did drop that in March, and that was in conjunction with a lot of cases they dropped. If you all remember, right after Trump came into office, dropped probes into Ripple Labs, Coinbase, Gemini. The list goes on and on. There's a bunch of probes. The last administration was just trying to kill crypto. So all of that is dropped. And Jesse Powell sounds like he is officially a free man. And you know what? I think there's a lot of a witch hunt against some of these crypto projects. There are certainly bad actors in crypto, but what was weird to me with the Biden administration is they were going after like the actual projects that we're building. I don't know what that's all about, but go after the people that are stealing everyone's money, that are doing shady stuff. Don't go after the real projects. Come on. In other news, you got Justin Sun, who is going to be on the next Blue Origin space mission. So I thought it was interesting. He paid $28 million for a seat back in 2021. If you remember, there were reports that came out that one of the people that was supposed to go on that mission canceled last minute. It turns out it was Justin Sun. So he had won an auction, and that the mission launched July 20th of 2021, and he backed out last minute, saying that he had scheduling conflicts. I'm like, bro, you pay $28 million for a seat and you have scheduling conflicts? Like, get out of here. And then it happened again. It says that back in 2022, he was supposed to go up again. It didn't happen that time either. I'm wondering if he just gets cold feet. But it said that he's finally supposed to go up. They don't have a target launch date yet. but they announced it yesterday that he is supposed to be on the next crew. So someone said that the Democrats are lobbied by the banks, hence the attacks. Yeah, man, it was. I was at Vegas for the Bitcoin conference, and it was wild hearing from all of these crypto projects about how they had gotten debanked. And Gemini, the Winklevoss twins, were like, "Listen, we were down to our last bank account. Like, if we had gotten debanked on that last bank account, we couldn't have made payroll. Who knows if we'd be here today?" So there really was a major attack. And yeah, man, the banking system has been worried about this move for a long time. And that is one of the criticisms about the stablecoin bill, is it really does protect our banking industry. Which there's mixed feelings on that, but I don't know what our economy would look like if our bank system failed. We saw what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, and they got bailed out. Let's be real. They're holding a lot of treasuries that are underwater, and our government, agreed to pay back at face value what they shouldn't have done that. So that was a bailout in essence. But I think we had a lot of regional banks that were failing. Our banking system is like effed up anyway. Let's be real. They have a 0% reserve requirement right now. So if everyone went to the bank to get their money out, the banks would not have their freaking money. There's no way. They're sitting on massive unrealized losses because the Fed raised rates so much, so their treasury holdings are underwater. They're also they have a lot of exposure to commercial real estate that is way underwater. The unrealized losses that our banks are sitting on is crazy. So I think they couldn't afford to move crypto forward unless they put in this type of legislation that really protects our banking sector. Now, I know a lot of people that are, about true decentralization are not happy about some of the way these bills have come into play, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's better than, killing crypto altogether. And I think it will bring a lot of money into the space, but we'll have to see what the repercussions are in the longer term. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance was dropping significantly. It is back on the rise again, slightly. That's 61%. Still far cry from where it's been. If you look like on the 1 year, though, I mean, this thing was just going up, up, up. Obviously dropped when we saw that nice run in alt right around mid-December, and then it's just been up, up, up again. Now we're seeing the drop again. If we look at the crypto bubbles, let's go to on the month. That is a lot of green. That's some big numbers. Look at Pengu. There's apparently a Pengu spot ETF that's probably going to get approved, which is like crazy to think about. Bonk has been crushing it, dude. When you look at Bonk, by the way, in the meme coin space, and I'm not like a big meme coin person. I do trade them sometimes because there's money to be made there, but they're just crushing Pump.fun. Bonk is absolutely stealing the show there. If we look at the week here, day, month, the hour, today's been a little bit red. But when you pump this hard, you're going to have some pullbacks, guys. Like, it's just going to happen. Some consolidation. If we look at what's happening across the space, you've got pretty much all the way. The top 1,000 have just been running. It's a beautiful sight to see. Let's look at some of the DePIN projects, though. Of course, this is not all of the projects I cover because I can only do the top 1,000 from this. But H&T coming in at 80%. You have Render. Like, a lot of these have just been ripping. What's strange is that Geodnet is actually down. Now, if you look at the year, though, Geodnet is like the shining star. I mean, these are some ugly price action over the last 12 months. I think Geodnet is just frankly decoupling a bit, and it's been less volatile. So on a longer term time frame, it's done much better. I think these other ones have been beaten down so much that they're now finally like coming back a bit. I think they had been just absolutely crushed, whereas Geodnet kind of stayed pretty resilient, and that's why we're seeing this. But still, obviously, Geodnet's my number one DePIN project. Let's look at some Google terms, search terms, because this is a good way to judge where we are as far as retail interest. Bitcoin has been seeing a little bit of resurgence for sure, but what I want to call out is alts, guys. Look at altcoins. I mean, this is the most interest we've seen. Actually, let's look. back away. Let's look at 5 years. Yeah, I mean, like, look at the interest we're seeing in altcoins. I mean, this is back from 2021. We are approaching territory that we saw in the last market cycle. I'm kind of surprised to see that we saw. This is at the end of last year. So this is when we did see the market, if you remember, peaked right around like December 14th for alts. So we did see a run up there. So this is a really good indicator to look at where we are with altcoins. I would imagine if we're on this trajectory that we're going to see some money really start to flow into alts. What we're seeing right now, because we look at DePIN, we have not seen really any resurgence here in DePIN. So I think what we're seeing right now is the large caps are starting to see a lot of action. You've got Ethereum's been on a run, Chainlink, Ondo, Solana starting to move. What else do we see? XRP, obviously. So the altcoins have been running, the large caps. Some of that is also institutional. You've got a lot of spot ETFs that are likely to be launched. You've got the stablecoin bill, all that. But you generally then see money flow from large caps to the mid caps to the small caps. And I think DePIN potentially in the next few weeks could see a major run. Now, I bring up the macro stuff because the tariff situation is still hanging over us. We have to really hope that something gets done there and we don't have any surprises and that the market is right. Because right now that threat is not being baked in. So let's hope no surprises come up from that in the next couple of weeks. Okay. If we stay, if the macro, cooperates, I think DePIN is going to have its time to shine. We're starting to see some attention. In particular, I brought this up the other day, but I want to hone in on a little bit more today. Yahoo Finance came out with this DePIN article. So we're starting to actually see, the media pay attention, which is great to see. It did talk about how, it's a business model innovation that lets us build wide-reaching infrastructure faster and more affordably by using crypto incentives. It says that, it allows us to address expensive infrastructure projects that require huge upfront investment from a handful of centralized players. Now, it talks about 3 trends and why DePIN's doing so well. Number one is that first, hardware costs are down. Improvements in manufacturing mean custom sensors and receivers no longer cost millions to operate or to produce, rather. And this is true. This is ROVR is a great example of this, guys. So ROVR, it is that hardware costs have come down so much. 3 years ago, that project wouldn't have been possible because LiDAR was so expensive. The same sensors that would have been $100,000 3 years ago are now $2,500. So we are certainly seeing hardware costs come down. That lowers that barrier to entry and allows you to use this crowdsource, if you will, application to garner participation. The second is that capital is pricier, and this is something we've obviously seen. This was about interest rates. With tighter financing conditions and higher borrowing rates, companies can no longer absorb huge spending, that CapEx, right? So interest rate environment bodes well, actually, for DePIN projects. And it says, third, AI needs real-world data. Modern AI models feed on online text and images, but lack up-to-date, on-the-ground context. Guys, this is why I'm so bullish on projects like HiMapper. You've got 375 AI coming up. These projects that are collecting the data, Silencia. AI is going to be the next big movement for sure. It's already happening, but you need data to train these models. ROVR's doing the same thing, right? HiMapper, I'll give you a real world example. Volkswagen's using their data to train their autonomous vehicle models. So you need the data. And a lot of these projects are focusing on the data collection side of things. And that to me is super exciting. 375 AI, if you look at my YouTube channel, I interviewed their founder. I was shocked when he told me that 80% of shopping is still done in brick and mortar. Only 20% is done online. So there's a huge blind spot there. So there is a major need for, as it says, on the ground context and data collection. And that is what a lot of these projects are doing. So super bullish for those reasons. They went on to highlight Geodnet as a use case. So pretty freaking cool, man, to see Yahoo highlighting DePIN. Speaking of Geodnet, 380,000 tokens burned last week from revenue. Killing it. Absolutely killing it. Love to see it. They added some new cities as well. Man, the metrics are just off the chart. Off the chart. They also, the Solana Seeker, the mobile phone that's coming out, guys, it's going to have Geodnet integrated, RTK integrated into the phone. Geodnet is making such big moves. The price tends to be lagging, it looks like, but I think the market will figure it out. There's a lot of flack about them not having enough centralized exchange listings. We're going to have Mike Horton talk about that, okay? Because my Tuesday DePIN Connected space that I host every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Mike Horton's coming on next week. So we're going to talk about that. So definitely, if you can, join. We're going to go live at 11:30 because of his scheduling conflict. But 11:30, I'll be posting about it several times from X. Make sure to join that session, or it'll be recorded, so listen to it after the fact. But it'll be good to hear straight from Mike Horton about what they're doing there. But they've had some massive moves. Another thing, ROVR. Someone asked about this. Said, how do you think the open source approach of ROVR is going to bring token burns? That's a good question. I mean, they said that they're going to have a conversation in the community channel on July 26th. So if you can join, I will definitely be in there, because I was wondering the same thing. You have to Waymo has an open source or open, what is it called? I'm drawing a blank here. I guess open source the right term there. But Waymo makes their data available. So I'm not sure how that impacts the revenue generation. But I will say there are reports from some of their customers that the data set they're getting from ROVR is better than the data they're getting from Waymo. So that obviously bodes well. But I will definitely be listening to this conversation, and I'll talk about my main takeaways in my live stream after that. Some other news in Arweave. I thought this is kind of cool. So it says, if you notice any smelly takes like this, if you comment at PermaButler save, they will take the screenshot and save it into Arweave forever. And in particular, they're talking about this one by Peter Schiff, who's about the biggest hater ever in the world. It's so weird, man. I get gold. I think gold's a great hedge, a great investment, but he's like, has to attack Bitcoin like every step of the way. It's so weird. It's like the Jordan versus LeBron debate. It's like, well, which one's greater? It's like, is LeBron greater? And no one can make an argument without mentioning Jordan. Like, that's how it feels with Peter Schiff. He's like, oh, gold's great, but Bitcoin. And here he attacks Ethereum. He's like, it's back to near upper end of its trading range again. If you own any of this, sell it. As much as it pains me to say, selling Ether and buying Bitcoin with the proceeds is a better trade than holding Ether. Whatever, bro. So if you comment, though, the main takeaway here, PermaButler save, you'll see here, like, it's saved here. In Arweave, these files, these screenshots will be saved for hundreds of years. So pretty cool. So go ahead and use that and run through here. It's kind of cool to go and see what other people have marked to be curated in history forever, permanently on the timeline. Oh, sorry, I didn't switch over there. There you go. So you can see what other people have wanted to permanently store. All right, let's talk about Dabba a little bit. Dabba, they talk about this on their town hall. They sold 5,000 hotspots in an enterprise deal, bringing their sold hotspots to over 18,000 now. TGE is coming in the next, I would say now, or 60 days or less. They're using Bonk as a decentralized exchange listing. Oh, pretty cool. If we take a look here, they have already updated their dashboard. over 18,181 hotspots sold. You can see here they have 5,803 deployed. By the end of this month, they'll have 11 LCOs, local cable operators, fully onboarded and installing. They've got like a total like 40 something in their pipeline that they're vetting out. So things are certainly moving in the right direction for Dabba. Speaking of Dabba, I'm going to be on their space tomorrow. I'm on there every Wednesday. Some pretty great conversations about DePIN. Set your reminders. It is at 2 o'clock Central Time. Every Wednesday we get on there. So things are shaping up, man. I think things for the DePIN space could look very pretty over the next couple months if the macro conditions cooperate. Okay, that's why we cover it every day, because that does matter. I'm also going to be, and I'm on here every Thursday, the Flux space. Flux is a hell of a run, by the way. I'm going to pull up their price action here. But every Thursday morning, we get on the Flux space. A lot of great people on that one as well. Talk about DePIN Alpha. Pretty great stuff there. Let's take a look at Flux, by the way. Oh, man. Look at that over the last month, 60%. Woo! That's quite a run. Love to see it. Flux is a great project. Sitting at $105 million market cap now. They just made some big changes recently. But very solid project. What else do we have here? DePIN Happy Hour Thursday night. Guys, get in there. We got a bunch of people. We got some special guests coming on this Thursday. We shoot the shit for like an hour or two. Just talking about DePIN. Sorry. Ooh. Yeesh. But definitely follow this account and then join in. I'm going to be a regular part of their show every Thursday now. And lastly, guys, we had an awesome space this week or this morning with Ken from Tashi Network. That dude is smart as hell, man. Wow. But they're doing some really solid stuff with their project. Definitely give that a listen. So I'll share it again on my X page. But man, he dropped some serious alpha about some of the stuff they're working on. It sounds like they have their token launch coming this year on Solana. I think Tashi is going to be a really, really solid project. So give that a listen. And then next Tuesday, we'll have Mike Horton on. So join in if you can, guys. And that's what I got for y'all today. Hopefully, I was trying to stream this through Streamer TV too from my other computer. I don't know if it worked. I hope it did. I don't know. Hope it did. But that's what I got for you guys today. As always, I appreciate everyone that joined in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to me on YouTube if you don't already, because I do stream to both X and YouTube, but I also have a lot of videos that just go to YouTube. So there's additional content on there. So make sure to subscribe. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Peace.